most of our business processes that's front office facing and back office facing. So back office facing, everything from hire to retire processes on the finance world, record to report, order to cash. Those are the main, and payroll, benefits. All of that area basically is powered by Workato. My name is Amith Nair. I'm the Chief Information Officer for Vituity. We are one of the largest acute care provider in the nation. It's a physician-owned and led multi-specialty practice partnership. One of the things that I love about this organization, I get to say this very proudly, I work for several heroes. I mean, if you know COVID, they were in the middle of all of the issues, all the way from in New York. We were in New York. Our physicians were providing services there, right on the ground, taking care of patients, and all the way now. I mean, they're still fighting the good fight and taking care of our patients.
My full name is Reetika Singh, and I work as a senior integrations manager at Vituity. Vituity has been a customer of Workato for almost 2.5 to 3 years now. We have over 100 integrations running in production as we speak right now. I have a small team of 4 engineers, but they're all very proficient in Workato. And in the last 1 year, I would say, like, that is when I started building this team. And earlier it was just me driving the whole Workato initiative by myself. But then our CIO bought into that idea, and then it was thanks to him and his vision that we are able to advance forward.
When I first joined, I mean, to start off with, we had a lot of interfaces. We had a lot of point-to-point connections. We had a lot of activities where people went and exported data out of a system in a CSV file. Every system had its own source of truth, and it had its own source of information. So there was no source of truth. We had, and I think, north of 300 or 400 interfaces. And that could be manual, semi-automated, point-to-point, or just people just going and running scripts and pulling information. A lot of that all over the place. And the goal that we had set back then was we need to reduce all of that and start to standardize all of that and move to more of a reusability in that sense, right? Starting to use some of that core concepts of integration, build one, reuse multiple times, hub and spoke, etc.
So decided to embark on this transformational project where a lot of new applications were being brought in. And what happened as a result of that was, because of normally when you are working on this big of a project, you sometimes don't have enough time to uproot everything and then create everything from scratch. So what ended up happening was we built stuff on top of our legacy applications to keep supporting those applications. Plus, we got a lot of new cloud-based applications in-house, which drastically increased our application footprint, if you'd say. And now the challenge was some applications were legacy, which were on-prem, some applications were cloud-based. So this actually increased a lot of technical debt. So the customers also felt the pain, and our customers are our providers working at the healthcare facilities. We cannot expect them to spend too much time on their onboarding or credentialing. They have other more important things to do. So they ended up going into different applications just as part of their onboarding and recruiting, which caused this whole process to be very, I would say, not user-friendly. And it had glitches because now the data wasn't up to date in both the systems.
We hire and place physicians who are partners and clinicians to the hospitals as the contract starts. They have to start the day that we say the contract is going to start. They cannot start a day later, because this is a life or death situation. If you think about it, they are actually providing care at these sites. We looked at Delbumi. We looked at MuleSoft. We looked at Talent. And of course, Oracle had come up with some platform too at that point. So we looked at all of those, the traditional folks.
MuleSoft and Boomi, they were not able to build that POC for us because they didn't have that functionality within their system to allow us to build a pre-built connector like an SDK, how we are able to build with Workato. And not having that would have meant, again, like for the engineering team to spend so much time on connecting the APIs and understanding everything. While doing this POC and also working closely with these different companies, the kind of support that we got from Workato, that was phenomenal. And I think that was the winner for us. The very first POC, or I would say the recipe that we built, was an integration from our HR system, Oracle HCM, to NetSuite. It made our lives so much easier that we were able to build this integration with HR system and NetSuite really fast. And it saved a lot of time for the admins. I mean, the ease of use of the platform is, I think that is what makes Workato stand out. Talent is still, for somebody who needs to understand the platform, it takes a long time to ramp up with that platform. And also it's definitely not as straightforward as Workato is. We haven't been able to expand Talent a lot as compared to how far we have expanded Workato. We have been able to integrate a lot of applications across various departments. And I would say pretty much every department is using Workato for some part or the other. Used Workato to integrate these systems. So we were quickly able to build the recipes from that would bring the person or the employee data from our HR system, which is Oracle HCM, over to Salesforce, where the providers credentialing and onboarding used to happen. And then from there, we also send the employee information over to a tool that we use called Shift Admin, which is the scheduling platform. So initially, when they were all file-based, it used to take like up to 24 hours to sync the data between the two applications. So a new hire starting in HR system wouldn't show up in our scheduling system so that they could schedule their shifts. But then with Workato coming into play, we were quickly able to utilize the APIs provided by these two applications. And for one of the applications, we built, with Workato's partnership, we actually built a custom connector. And that partnership was awesome because 90% of our integrations are driven using that particular connector that we were able to build. And then calling the Shift Admin APIs on the other side, we were actually able to transfer the data in real time so that now any provider that's getting hired in our HR system would show up in our scheduling system almost real time, and they would be able to schedule their shifts, and there were no more delays for the patients.
Our hiring process from start to end is usually somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks. And then once we hire them, through that 6 weeks, there are steps, right? There are people that are manually moving things around, right? So since we have automated that, we've shaved off at least 3 to 4 weeks of that work that was happening in there. So now truly the time spent is for the interview and data exchange and getting the background checks and such taken care of. That's it. Yeah, so I mean, we are seeing somewhere between 20 and 30% improvement in productivity and productivity in the onboarding process of a physician or a clinician or even an employee, because all of that process was manual. If I'm not mistaken, somewhere roughly a little over 400 to 600 emails were exchanged between these different folks. So now all of that is streamlined and automated. The physician is going through the hiring process. They have to be credentialed for that hospital. So all of that pieces were manual. So there's someone who is actually credentialing that person by manually getting a lot of the physician information from the public website where their certificates or their licenses exist, to go and capture all of that now is automated. So there we are seeing an improvement about we've gained about 8 to 10 hours, if you may, in actually reducing that time to hire. The physicians are more productive on the day one when they get to the site, because they have access to all of their schedules for the month. They have access to all of their back office systems. They have access to their K1, their financial statements, etc., and the benefits information. All of that day one.
We actually are embarking on a brand new journey, which is our CIO's dream for a long time. And Workato is going to be the heart of our integration strategy going forward. And the vision is to integrate data across all the applications and reduce redundancy and get away from legacy applications as much as we can. So we are planning on building a huge hub and spoke kind of a data like architecture, where all our source systems will connect to Workato, and then Workato will be our intelligence middleware platform. The idea is to have the whole master data management and also the whole persistence of data to provide the 360-degree overview of any sort of data, like employee data or our organizational data, and also to help company like digitalize and move away from all the legacy applications.